Your money habits can quietly sabotage your finances without you even realizing it, and no matter what your income. We live in a culture that rewards the appearance of wealth, not the reality of it, and it's for this reason that so many people remain skint even when they earn good money. So here are 5 bad money habits that keep even high earners poor and what you can do instead. Kicking our list of bad habits off with number 1, telling yourself, I'm just bad with money. Nobody is born knowing exactly how to budget, invest, or manage debt. None of us came out of the womb knowing how to parallel park or how to send an email. You learned it along the way, and money is no different. The trouble with labeling yourself as bad with money, it stops you from even trying. You write yourself off before you've even tried step 1. It's a little bit like refusing to learn how to drive because you don't know how to drive yet. The truth is that money management is a skill. Budgeting, saving, investing, they're all learned behaviors and habits. And just like with what you probably found at your first driving lesson, you'll stall a few times before you get it right. And we need to accept that's absolutely fine. The problem isn't the mistakes that we make. The problem is when we refuse to get started in the first place. I say this as someone who used to bury my head in the sand when it came to my finances. I didn't even want to attempt budgeting because I assumed that there was no way that I could make my income fit into my expenses. Basically, I just felt that even if I was going into my overdraft a little bit every month, as long as I wasn't getting into serious trouble, it wasn't even worth my while trying to look at what was going on and address any of the issues. And for that reason, over the course of my 20s, I saved very little money. Thank goodness I did prioritize my pension in that time, but I did not even think about general savings and investments. And this was a big mistake, which thankfully I have rectified in my 30s, but I do wish I had started sooner. So the big takeaway with this one is, instead of saying I'm bad with money, tell yourself I'm learning to manage my money. I also think we have to move away from this idea that if we set a budget, it has to always go to plan. Actually, no, the point of setting a budget isn't that you have to hit all of those numbers. It's that you can identify where you have overspent a little bit, and because you've got systems in place, you're able to cover that little bit of overspending. I use this budgeting spreadsheet every single month to track my spending, to set my budgets, to keep an eye on things. And because I have this savings area where I'm putting away money for just in case, I know that if an unexpected expense does come up, I've got that just in case money to cover it. This is the point of a balanced budget. Budgeting is not about looking at a spreadsheet like this and only seeing positive numbers. Sometimes it's about overspending, but having the confidence that if you do that, you have systems in place that can help you out. The truth is that if you're in debt or if you're living beyond your means, it's unlikely that you're going to fix your finances in just one day, and that's okay. You don't need to wait until you're living below your means in order to get your finances in order or create systems. You learn through doing, even if budgeting and tracking your spending means that you are just identifying budget leaks left, right, and center in the first month, the second month, or even in the 6th month. The point is you're learning as you go and you're trying your best. I certainly found that by doing this, I saw improvements over time. It changed my attitude towards money, towards savings, towards investing. It helped me to be more clear about what I was buying with my money, and it helped me to be more intentional with the things that I chose to spend my money on. The second bad habit is assuming that investing is only for the rich. This one really frustrates me because it's upside down. Investing isn't about being rich, it's how people become rich. Think about it, nobody becomes wealthy by stashing their money into an easy access savings account, or even worse, stuffing it underneath their mattress. Inflation quietly eats away at that. But the historic returns for investments shows us that it allows our money to grow faster than inflation. And the great thing is that the barrier to entry has never been lower. In the UK, you can open a stocks and shares ISA for just a few pounds a month, and the returns that you make in your ISA are protected from the tax man. Look, it'd be great if you could just drop 20 grand right now into a stocks and shares ISA, but for most people that's entirely impractical. But the good news is that there is still power in time and patience. It's boring, it's not particularly glamorous, but it works. If you invest £100 a month from age 25, by the age of 65, you could have over £350,000. And that's assuming an 8% return. That is the power of compounding, because your total deposits were less than 50 grand. So you made £300,000 just from time and patience and the power of compounding. The next myth is that a budget means no fun. I used to imagine budgets as like spreadsheets of doom. No dinners out, no shopping, no fun until you allow yourself to retire at the age of 85. But this is exactly the opposite of what a good budget is meant to do. It's not punishment, it's permission. It's all about guilt-free spending. It's that plan that says, yes, you can go out for dinner. Yes, you can take that weekend away because you've created a plan and allocated money that you can afford to it. Before I started budgeting, my finances were just chaotic. And I can remember the low point was when I had an unexpected bill for a repair on my car. This wasn't even a particularly high bill. We're talking like, I think 150 or 200 pounds. And I did not have the money in my bank account in order to cover that. That was my low point. And I had willfully allowed it to get to that stage. I wasn't earning loads of money at that point, like far from it, but it was because I had not made any room in my budget for these type of unexpected things to come up, which inevitably they do. With a budget, you're not doing any guesswork anymore. Now that I take just a little bit of time every single month to check in with my budget and make sure I'm on track, I know that I can cover my bills. I know when it comes to spending money, I can afford to do that. And when it comes to having fun, for example, I've got a trip out to London with my youngest daughter planned. I took my eldest daughter into London a few months ago to go and see a show. Now I'm gonna have some one-on-one time with my youngest daughter, but I know it's entirely affordable for me because I've made room in my budget over the last few weeks in order to make sure I can cover all of those costs. And we're just going to go relax and have an amazing time. So budgeting doesn't take away your ability to have fun. It means that you can have fun, but not at the expense of your rent or your emergency fund. The fourth bad money habit is thinking to yourself, I'll start saving when I earn more. This one is really sneaky because it sounds logical. I'll start saving more once I have more money. But I found that saving money is a habit. And if you haven't started saving when you are earning 25K, you're unlikely to start once you hit 50K. And that's because of something that we talk about on here all of the time, lifestyle creep. This means every additional penny that you earn gets swallowed up by your lifestyle upgrades. Slightly bigger house, a better car, nicer holidays, more frequent holidays, designer handbags, a nice watch. When Stanley Cup brings out a brand new aesthetic colour, you add it to your collection of 10 that are already in the kitchen cupboard because you know, hey, I'm earning more money now, I can afford to do this. I do have to wonder, whenever I see these videos of people showing off their Stanley Cup collections, like how much water are you drinking? Must be a lot. My point is that the numbers get bigger, but the pattern stays the same. I think we often can assume, and I certainly used to, that saving has to be a big number, but it really doesn't have to be a big number. It just has to be a habit, even if it's just 2 or 5% of your income. Committing to that creates momentum and discipline that you need later on when you are earning more. And the great thing is that if you start with this early, money saved in your 20s and in your 30s has decades to compound. That means even small amounts of money saved can add up to big gains over the long term. And I really do get why some people shun the idea of saving because they think, hey, like, why can't I just enjoy my money now? I think there is a balance that can be struck between enjoying your money now and using it to buy freedom for future you. Just imagine what you could do with 50K plus in 10 years time. At that point in your life, it could be a really life-changing amount of money. So don't wait until you earn more. Start small now. Even just begin with sticking 20 quid into a savings account every single month and go from there. And the final bad money habit is spending to look rich. True wealth is quiet. It's the assets that people own, such as a house and investments in the bank. It's the stuff that we don't necessarily see. However, the truth is that we live in a time where we are mistaking certain outward indicators as being a sign of wealth, when in actual fact, they aren't at all. They are simply a sign of the money that someone has spent. Flexes like a fancy watch, a brand new car every 3 years, owning the entire collection of Labubus, posting pictures on social media, relaxing on a luxury cabana at an exclusive beach club resort. These are not indicators of wealth. These are just indicators of the money that someone has spent. But in our culture today, they are viewed as indicators that someone is doing really well financially. So when you spend to keep up with the people trying to look rich, you only end up with less. Now, for a lot of people, you may not necessarily end up in debt by choosing this path, but you're not using the power of your income to get ahead either. I think cars are a really classic trap. The average car loses 20 to 30% of its value in the first year alone. It loses value the second you drive it off the forecourt. By year 5, it's often worth less than half of what you paid. So that status symbol is literally bleeding your wealth away the second you drive it away from the car lot. And we often justify it by saying, I work hard, I deserve it. And yet it's true, you definitely do deserve to enjoy spending your hard-earned money. But if you're buying things just to signal to other people that you're wealthy, you're not building wealth. All you're doing is burning it. Also, I think for some people, it's not just about trying to look rich. There are emotional motives at play here as well. There are many spending triggers. It could be boredom, low self-esteem, or even stress. I know that one of my worst spending triggers for buying new clothes was thinking that something would make me look completely different, like that it would have a transformational impact on my overall look. I just totally bought into the marketing vibe. So I think it's also really important when we're talking about reframing spending habits to address and identify the things that make us spend on stuff that we don't really need. Emotional triggers can be really hard to resist and you won't always manage to do it, but I think identifying them is like the first step towards trying to fix it, or at the very least, reduce your spending. Because the truth is that wealthy people don't stay wealthy by buying things that decline in value. They focus on assets that grow in value, investments, property, businesses, or their own skill set so that they can level up their own income. I believe that money habits can be more powerful than income. Someone earning 40k with good habits can outpace someone earning 80k with bad ones. Let me give you an example. So person A earns 80k but spends 95% of it. They're still managing to save 4 grand a year, and over 20 years with a decent investment return of 8%, they have 190k. So they've done pretty well. But let's look at person B. They earn 40k but spend just 75% of it, and they save 10 grand a year. So over 20 years with the same investment return, they have 460k. Person B earned half as much as person A, but ended up with a pot worth more than double the high earner. Building wealth isn't exciting or glamorous, but the good news is that all of us can take steps to do it. Simple and smart habits can compound your gains over time. And ultimately, I'm more focused on building a life that's stable and secure than something that looks rich and luxurious. That to me is the real flex. And I really don't care if anyone sees it or not. Thank you so much for sticking with me to the end. Don't forget to give this video a like and to subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and I would love to have you join us here. Please let me know in the comments, have you ever been guilty of having one of these habits? Are there any that I missed off of the list? Let me know. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye guys.